Okay, here we are later in the day. Tomorrow we gotta sell some calves, so we gotta prepare the truck for hauling the calves to drop point where they can go to the sales barn from there. So just gonna talk about my pickup. A little background story about this pickup. So this truck I bought brand new in October of 2000 with my wife. I believe Erin was only like a year and a half old, still in the car seat. My old truck was a 1974 Chevy 3/4 ton custom 20, two-wheel drive, 4-speed, 350, and it was one of my dad's trucks. He bought it brand new, and then I guess I kind of inherited it for working on the farm. When I came here, I had it for several years before I bought this. So this is a long box. We'll probably put some pictures up of that old truck so you can get a better look. It had a double low. It actually has a 4-speed, and you could go into double low, and that thing had some power. I remember more than once putting chains on it to go to the mill to get mineral and stuff when it was really snowy and icy in the winter. It was kind of wild, but those were the days. So the only rust on this truck is just a little bit right here. It sits in the garage a lot when it's not getting used to move cattle. So this truck only gets used for anything heavy. We don't just drive it to drive it somewhere. We use our family vehicle for that, like getting parts and all that stuff. It's just more economical. It just makes sense. I got this mat in here. I put that in here when it was virtually new. I added some eyelets for tie down stuff. It is a crew cab. It's got, I think it's a 454. I'd have to look. And mileage, I don't know if you can see that, is 58,000, and that thing has stopped like 10 years ago already for me for whatever reason. I don't know why, and there was no reason to fix it. And the other thing is the fuel gauge doesn't work correctly neither. It either reads full or 3/4 full or completely empty. Kind of found that out the hard way like 20 years ago already. But the trip gauge works. So when I fuel up, I got to push my trip gauge. It's kind of crazy, but it's okay. You don't do a lot of far traveling with this thing. But it's in really good shape yet, and it's got a you got your 4-wheel drive, and then you got your 4-low too. I like that. Back in a trailer in somewhere or something. That's really a good feature. When we were looking at this truck, I didn't really want to get one with all these fancy gadgets on there. I wanted to get a base model. I didn't really care for all this electrical stuff, but they couldn't find a basic one. Everything had all this already on it, and it was last year they made these trucks. They call it the K series. And my brother, being a mechanic his whole life, he said these were still the good ones. He said if you can get a 2000 of the old style, he said get that, because they were still working the bugs out of the new ones. And that's kind of typical for stuff. But anyway, that's kind of the story behind this truck. And just a gas. I got to get it ready to put the calves for tomorrow because there's so much chores, and the calves got to be to the sales place by 11:30 in the morning. So it's just easier if you prepare a little ahead of time, so then it's just load them and go. And there, the ball can turn down for the 5th wheel for the cattle trailer. I've got side racks for it, so I'm going to put those on, and we'll talk about it a little bit. That's front half. I got a little bit of a window there, so we got the calves in the back. We're able to see them or know they're okay. And then I got this rod which holds the racks together, and what I did is I don't know if you can see that for sure, but this has got thread on the end. This is probably from an old piece of horse machinery originally, but I just welded a nut on this piece of scrap iron here, and then these washers and this nut are just a spacer. I'll show you how that works for me too. So the neat thing is I could take my racks off and put them on without too much trouble. And I got this strap of angle iron I put on the top of the front and the back, adding support. And this is where the rod comes in to hold them all together, so I don't need any wrenches or anything. And it goes in either way. It does the same thing. So then here on this corner, there's this piece of pipe here, and that's on the other corner too. And then there's actually a square nut welded to the end of this rod to keep it from spinning when you're tightening it up. Then I got these eyelets here just to help tie things down if you're able, if you need them, you know, for other things. Get that snugged up. That's pretty much there. We're good. Nice and sturdy. Take it easy so I didn't lose my camera here. So you see the idea. And in the back I have these chains with this chain binder, and I'll show you how that works. As I got a snapper on here on this chain, because if you don't tie them up here, they're swinging around and they could bang out the tail light or scratch up your paint. And the same thing on the other side. And this piece of chain is just welded onto those angle irons that are in the corner. So then we got to find the right length. Now it'd probably be wise of us to actually mark that length somehow, so we don't have to get urge to. But here it's not quite enough, but it is okay. And then there's this snapper on here that we're able to wrap around there and tie there. That keeps it from undoing itself. Now that's not really tight, but it doesn't really have to be. That's just to keep it from, for baby calves, it's not an issue at all. And that's how I'm ready to go with the calves. So basically slide them in and they stand up in there. They got this rubber mat for a little bit of traction while they're traveling, so they're not sliding around. Leave the jackets on and during the winter until we get to the sales barn, of course, and then hopefully the new owner puts jackets back on them. I guess I would, for what they're bringing. So anyway, you see, then I got a little tie down there, and on the front end here there's a piece of a hinge here, and there's one on that other end too. I used to have a top for it. Now I got this idea from my first truck my dad had fixed up like this. We never took the racks off though, but we could have. So this is just car siding, and then we got oak stake pockets, and everything is bolted. And then I took kind of like a large hammer on the backside for an anvil, and then a ball peen hammer on the front here to bang up the thread a little bit so that they don't undo themselves with the vibration. I done that on the corners, repainted them, but that all the hardware was actually from my dad's '74 Chevy. So that truck we did sell. It was getting pretty rusted out, and it was just a regular cab. So the issue was being that Aaron was a year and a half old, and we were expecting another one already at that point, and of course, you know, our family was growing, so we get a crew cab right away and have the space for the car seats and all that. And then I did put this material on, and the same thing on here, and I got it when it was pretty new yet, just so the side racks aren't scraping up the paint. It just looks a little more right over time. And I haven't had this truck painted or anything like that. I did have these put on. This is the second set of those. I think the first ones weren't as good, probably just cheap made, you know, things like that. And then the mud flaps and stuff I put on, and went through several sets of tires already, but that's just expected. But this truck has never been dented or anything, you know, other than a few dings and some scratches. And even some little boy with a crayon was going around it at one time, but I think that's almost all kind of weathered and worn and washed away now. But those things I'm okay with all that. It's when there's dents, like here there's I call them dings. It's a farm truck. It's supposed to get scratched up. It's, you know, we're using it. So the other theory, I should talk about this box some more. This is kind of a neat thing. So if I wanted to buy like a 20-foot gate or 16-foot gate or whatever, I don't need a trailer to bring that home. I strap it across the top. Now I got all kinds of tie down stuff in the back, behind the back seat in there, or whatever we might be hauling. This here, sometimes I can loop through the rungs or whatever you're hauling. If you're hauling some long pipe or something, and extend it out right over the top of the cab. So we got an 8-foot box here. So this angle iron on here and on there act as a support for all that. And I've had some even like lumber, like if you want to haul some 16-footers or some 20-footers or something, no trailer required unless we're gonna, you know, haul like 30-40 pieces or something. It can get quite the load up here, but it handles it beautiful. This is what they would consider a ton. You know, it's the 3500, and if it was a 3/4, it'd be the 2500. If it was a half ton, it would be the 1500. And I think that Ford kind of does the same thing there and that. But I was talking about that top. I had that top. It was 2 pieces of plywood. It was hinged in the middle, and it was on my old truck. And you know, you kind of think you buy a new vehicle, is that stuff all going to match up? Well, the stake pockets were in different places, so I thought, well, we're not going to use the old side racks. They were getting pretty banged up, so I just took all the hardware off and put all new wood on and got some really good varnish and everything, and then we painted our farm logo on there, and it kind of came up with a little slogan here. This is actually the valley we live in, which is probably about 8 miles long, you know, or better, or something like that. I don't know. It's got a lot of forks in it. But anyway, that's the story there. But that top, I never did put it on. After I fitted it, I took it off. I thought when we get a day like today and you got to go with cattle or something, or you want to put something sensitive in there that you don't want to get wet or that, it would have been kind of okay. But that was kind of a boat anchor to get up there. So eventually I just got rid of that. I never used it. It was an idea. It was better than trying to throw a tarp on something and driving down the road that way. So this way, this truck can be transformed into something like this, just for calves, or like if you were going to help somebody move furniture. A lot of times, I mean, I've had it ready where we just slid all the sides in the front and the back in the bed, and then when we got to our destination, we put the racks on because you get better fuel economy without all that stuff. And then to take it off, it's even quicker than putting it on. And then I got a place in my garage where I keep the truck that it's all stands alongside the truck, where it's got its own little storage spot. In my old truck, you know, my dad, I think he gave me the receipt for it. He paid $3,400 for it in 1974. And that's kind of wild when you think about what everything is worth today. But $3,400 was, you know, bought something. So we'll put some pictures up of that. I actually kind of miss it. And if the boys were already a little older, I probably would have kept it just for, I actually sold it to a guy that just wanted to do some landscaping for $500. So still got some money back out of it to put towards the new one. Santa Claus is coming.